Dinas, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here on YouTube. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up. Click on that. Don't click on the paid ads. Click on Psychology Today. You will have therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Hi. Oh my gosh. Thailand was amazing, guys. It was amazing. I loved it so much. I would love to go back. I really would. The people were amazing. The food was amazing. The country is amazing. It's beautiful. Okay, some announcements I want to get out of the way and some exciting news I'm going to tell you. All right. Susanna Quintana is going to be my special guest in Santa Barbara and in Anaheim. And she's thinking about coming to St. Paul with me. So she's going to let me know if she can make it to St. Paul. So, and dun, 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 she's going on the cruise with us in December. So you're going to get both me and Susanna Quintana on the cruise, which will be awesome because then you get us, you know, full access and you can talk to us about what's going on. The reason why I'm doing this is because I am a licensed professional therapist. I can only counsel people in Arizona, but Susanna is a life coach who has been there, done that, lived through it, survived it. And she's written a book called You're Still That Girl, an amazing book. And she can do Skype and phone sessions. I can't do Skype and phone sessions with people outside of Arizona, but she can. So this would be a great opportunity for you guys to meet her, to talk to her, and see if she can help you. So this is, I'm excited. This is great. And I get a travel buddy. So that makes me happy. So yay, that's awesome. So speaking of upcoming events, I've got July 4th, the Mensa convention, the Mensa gathering in Phoenix at the Sheraton Grand. That's all on Mensa. You'll have to go to Mensa to figure that one out. It's at 3:00 on July 4th. July 6th is Santa Barbara. July 13th is St. Paul, Minneapolis. So I'll be there. I'm so excited. August 3rd is Anaheim. August 31st is San Jose. September 1st is San Francisco. September 2nd is Sacramento. October 19th is Austin. And October 20th is San Antonio. And then, of course, we have the cruise to the Bahamas in December. So that's very exciting. Yay, I'm so excited. Anyway, that's it. That's all that news. A little bit of housekeeping. If you could pretty please, sweetheart darlings, loves of my lives, please do not friend me on my personal page. And please do not send me personal messages there. I will not answer them. I will not even look at them. I just delete them. If you want to PM me, you can do it on the We Need to Talk page on Facebook, or you can do it on my Chris Godinez LPC public speaker page. That's where I connect with people on a more personal level. I still don't have time to chit chat though, guys, because I run a full-time private practice. So I'm busy. So if you have a question, keep it short. Like seriously, keep it short, like 50 words or less, if you can do that. That would be a huge help. And I know everybody wants to tell their story because, you know, we want to get it out, and I got it, except that I don't have time. So if you just want to give me your question, trust me, I will be able to follow what's going on. If I need clarification, I'll let you know. So, okay, there that is. Also, if you would like to purchase these lovely 20-ounce mugs, they're available on eBay. And the books that I've written, What's Wrong with Your Dad? And You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but You Can't Make Him Cha-Cha, available on Amazon. They're on Kindle, they're on Audible, they're paperback too, so you can do that. Okay. Other books that you can purchase, and I'm still going to be pushing this book forever and a day, is Shaquita Arabi's Healing the Adult Child of Narcissists, because the adult children of Narcissists. Great book. I love her because she does citations and she does, you know, it's not just pulling stuff out of her ass, which I love. She's amazeballs. So Shaquita Arabi, get her book, read it. All right, there is that. Okay, so today's topic is echoism. Echoism. What the heck is echoism? What am I talking about? Okay. The myth of Narcissus and Echo. It's a Greek myth, and it's, what was it? The Odyssey? The Odyssey. So it comes out of the Odyssey, the Ovid and the Odyssey and all of that stuff. So, okay, let me pull it up and explain what this is. And this is where narcissism comes from. Okay. The myth of Narcissus and Echo. Narcissus was a handsome woman. Let me get my glasses here because I can't see without them. Thank you very much. Oh, Lord, there's the There's the text. Okay. Narcissus was a handsome hunter who broke the hearts of many women and men. Despite their love, he remained aloof and arrogant. Pridefully, he held them in disdain. Meanwhile, the beautiful forest nymph Echo had incurred the ire of the goddess Juno, who punished Echo for talking too much by depriving her of free expression. From then on, she could only repeat the last words of others. Echo spotted Narcissus and became infatuated. She longed for his attention, but he was fixated on himself. She tried to call out to him, but yet she couldn't. One day, Narcissus became separated from his hunting companions and called out, "Is anyone there?" Echo could only repeat his words. Startled, he said, "Come here," which Echo repeated. Echo jubilantly rushed to Narcissus, but he spurned her, saying, "Hands off! May I die before you enjoy my body." What a jerk. Humiliated and rejected, Echo fled in shame. Nevertheless, her love for Narcissus grew, which is interesting because a normal person would be like, "Wow, dude, you're lost," that kind of thing. So there's some psychology stuff going on, low self-esteem, etc. Okay, to punish Narcissus for his arrogance, Nemesis, this should all sound familiar, the goddess of revenge, put a spell on him. When Narcissus next noticed his reflection in a pool of water, love overtook him. He believed that he'd finally found somebody worthy of his love and entirely absorbed himself with his own beautiful image, not realizing it was actually himself. Unable to get Narcissus's attention, Echo's obsession and depression grew. As the years passed, she lost her youth and beauty, pining away for an unattainable Narcissus until she wasted away, leaving only behind her echoing voice. He eventually died, committing suicide essentially, consumed by his impossible love for himself, leaving a flower in his place. So that is the story of Narcissus and Echo. And it mirrors the pathology of the narcissist with the codependent. So echoism, though, is an extreme form of codependency. So and listening to echoism. So these things I've gotten, the one that I just described to you, you can find anywhere on the internet. It's the myth of Echo and Narcissus is pretty well known. This is from Psychology Today. And it's called Listening to Echoism. Understanding this trait may help explain why some people find themselves stuck in relationships with narcissists. It also points the way to recovery. Amy, 22, arrived in my office. She was in tears. Just days earlier, Dan, her boyfriend of 5 years, announced that he had fallen out of love with her. The immediate cause? He said, "I never let him do anything for me." There was some truth to his complaint. Amy refused to let him surprise her on birthdays and rarely sought his help. She had been concerned about her mother's depression for months, but seldom mentioned it to him. And although she seemed to ask for precious little attention, she spent a great deal of time racked with guilt that she had demanded too much. "He's been working so hard to get a promotion," she sobbed. "I didn't want to pile on it." "What if he loves supporting you as much as you do him?" I asked. "I know it's strange," she admitted. "I'm happy to listen to his problems, but I hate talking about my own. The rules are just different for me. They always have been." Years later, I arrived at a name for the rules Amy and many others live by: echoism. You won't find echoism in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. That's because it's not a disorder, but a measurable trait that my colleagues and I have studied over the past 6 years. And this article is by Dr. Craig Malkin, and this was just published in the May or June version of Psychology Today. Okay, and like all traits, it exists to a greater or lesser degree in all of us, causing damage only when it becomes extreme. Echoists have a strong aversion to attention. In fact, the defining characteristic of those who score well above on our measure of echoism is a fear of seeming narcissistic in any way. How many of us have been terrified that we are narcissists? How many of us are so worried about being selfish that we become so selfless that we literally deplete ourselves? That's what this is talking about. They tend to agree with statements like, when people ask me my preferences, oh, helps if I make the text larger. Hello. I'm often at a loss, and I find it hard to enjoy compliments. So This powerful resistance to any sign of selfishness, at least in themselves, often makes them especially considerate. Echoists are warm-hearted, according to one measure we used, and hyper-vigilant about their impact on others. The very idea that they've burdened someone with their problems can send them into a spiral of shame and recrimination. One client of mine spent a tearful session worrying that by telling her depressed boyfriend that she felt sad, that she had made his life even harder. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more. In families that produce echoisms or echoists, it's that we have been made to feel like we don't deserve anything. If we ask for anything, we're too much. So remember, abusers live in this weird circle, these two weird circles of too much, not enough, too much, not enough, too much, not enough. And so kids who grow up with this end up going, okay, well, if I don't want to get punished and I don't want to be, a problem or a burden, I need to make myself as tiny as possible. And that's what happens. The profound aversion to tending to their own needs can push echoists into one-sided relationships. Some are drawn to narcissists because they're so wary of burdening others or seeming needy that it's a relief to be with somebody who relishes taking up all the space. The pattern doesn't emerge only in romantic relationships. Picture the friend who loves to be there for you and pays rapt attention to your struggles, but leaves you in the dark about their inner life. Echoists can be terrific listeners, but their ability to share is inhibited. This doesn't mean that echoists are doormats who passively accept any behavior that from people they're close to. Neither do they fit the classic definition of codependence. It's a little bit different. It's kind of like an extreme version of that, who are drawn to troubled friends and partners. While it is true that some can be emotional caregivers of others, discomfort with any situation of their own needs may lead them to actively reject people. And some are concerned enough about their impact on others that they become counterdependent, repelling any attempt at nurturance with responses like, don't treat me like a child, I'll be fine. It's as if the one stance echoist takes, often vehemently, is don't you dare treat me like I'm special. They can get bitterly upset if anyone ignores that rule. One client of mine was outraged when her boss threw her a party after she asked him not to make a fuss. So this is why sometimes when you do something nice for somebody and they don't feel they deserve it and they don't want the attention, they get angry because this goes against their basic assumption that they have to be invisible and not seen and, as small as possible. So when somebody does something for them, they freak out because it's acknowledging them. It's validating them. It's saying, hey, I see you. I see that you're a human being. I see that you deserve something special. And the guilt inside bubbles up and they're like, no, 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 no. And then they get pissed and then they punish the person who tried to do something nice for them because it makes them uncomfortable. So I think this is interesting. Still, whether they take on the role of doting partner, let's talk about this. So when an echoist gets involved with a narcissist, they literally drop everyone and everything for the narcissist. They pour every fiber of their being into the abuser. Absolutely. They give up who they are. They become an echo of themselves. They don't have their own wants, their own needs, their own desires, their own, thoughts, etc. They take on everything that the narcissist tells them, thinks to them, etc., spews at them. They start becoming the narcissist. This is interesting. Whether they take on the role of doting partner or low maintenance friend, extreme echoists rarely feel special and they suffer for that, privately becoming anxious and depressed. This may seem counterintuitive. After all, most of us condemned blowhards who chase applause and suck out all the air of the room. So we may perceive it as the height of mental health when people when people with obvious gifts never acknowledge their own needs. So this is also why some psychologists are saying, well, codependency, this form of codependency is like it's like the opposite spectrum of narcissism. I tend to disagree because narcissists do not have empathy in any way, shape, or form. They don't give a flying rat's ass whether they're being a burden to somebody. Whereas somebody who is an echoist absolutely cares whether they are being a burden or whether they're, putting too much on somebody's plate or whatever. But that's where this comes from. Okay, hang on. Okay, a closer look at healthy, happy people around the world reveals a different picture. Despite the virtue we attribute to those who follow the mandate, don't act like you're special, research makes it clear that a dose of self-enhancement or slightly inflated self-image helps people persist in the face of failure, dream bigger, and maybe even live longer. So healthy self-esteem, it's just different. And this is what I keep trying to tell people. So when somebody comes in and sits on my couch, the first thing that's happened is that the abuser has abused them horribly. They've got a family of origin, the original wound, that set them up to feel like they weren't good enough, too much, not enough. They have to be small. They're a burden. How dare they ask for anything? So when we start talking self-esteem, the first thing that I hear from them is, that's selfish. No, it's not. Healthy self-esteem is internal. It's internal. Happiness is an inside job. So unhealthy self-esteem is other esteem. That's what narcissists do, is they do other esteem. They need somebody to tell them that they're fabulous. Tell me I'm great. Tell me I'm great. Tell me I'm great. That's what they do 24/7. Healthy self-esteem is just that little teeny tiny voice. It's not the inner critic. It's the inner cheerleader. Okay. The inner critic is what we've been given by the dysfunctional family of origin. The inner cheerleader is what we should be having, which is, hey, good job. Good. Go you. I like you. Good job. You look good. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, oops. You fucked up. Okay. Make amends. All right. Good. You did. Okay. Okay. Forgive yourself. Okay. Good. Move on. It's kind. It's gentle. It's healthy. So they confuse this with that of needing that extra attention outside. So, all right. The echoist dread of feeling special then appears to be as significant a problem as the narcissist's addiction to it. It's, polar opposites, same thing, kind of. Echoists and narcissists are in every sense opposites, a truth supported by our findings that the two types live at opposite ends of the self-enhancement spectrum, which I just talked about. Humblest of origins. As a child, I struggled to celebrate achievements. I dismissed praise. The test was easy. The teacher just likes me, and blamed myself for someone who hurt me. As far as I was far more comfortable providing care than receiving it. And so that is common with codependence, and that's common with echoists. It's like we are much more comfortable giving and giving and giving than we are letting somebody else care for us, because it bumps up against that basic assumption, that self message, that message that we got from the family of origin, the original wound, that we're not worthy. So if we're not worthy and it's okay for us to take care of others, then when somebody cares for us, it feels weird. It feels unnatural. It feels, oh my God, what's going to happen? And we're afraid of it being taken away from us. So that I thought was really interesting. Okay, hang on. Only years later, while reading the myth of Narcissus, did I have an epiphany about why I felt the way I did and how it related to narcissism. Narcissus, remember, was the handsome young vain youth caused to fatally fall in love with his own reflection. Echo was the nymph cursed to speak only by repeating the last few words she heard. Echo fell in love with Narcissus, but he barely noticed her. Echo's apparent invisibility to the vain Narcissus struck a chord with me. I scribbled the word echoism on a piece of paper and shivered with recognition. The myth contained both sides of narcissism, an addiction to feeling special and the inability to enjoy feeling special at all. Like the nymph, echoists like me can echo the needs and feelings of others, but are at a loss when it comes to voicing our own desires. I cannot tell you the number of times I've had clients sit on my couch and go, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like. I couldn't even tell you what my favorite food is. And that's not normal. So it boils back down to family of origin. It does. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But when I read this article, it was like, my mind exploded because I was like, yes. So, okay, hang on a second. Okay, the notion of avidly escaping others' people's notice corresponds to the conceptual history of echoism itself. Attention paid to the idea has been uneven, marked by occasional, briefly noted appearances. In fact, 10 years before our group's work, psychoanalyst Dean Davis proposed the same term for the concept, only to have his idea recede into obscurity. With rare exceptions, others exploring the phenomenon have seemed unaware of their predecessors, yet all have converged to the same theme themes: silence and selflessness. Perhaps now we'll remember Echo's lost voice. Survival of the echoist. To understand why some people become echoist, think of it as a trait of survival strategy. I want to feel safe and loved. I need to make sure I ask for as little from people as possible and give as much as I can. So when we are in a dysfunctional, fucked up family situation, right? And the parents have, family of origin, the parents have abdicated responsibility. The parents have abdicated being the adults and have forced the children to become the parents, right? So you've got, remember, in messed up families, you've got second mom, second dad. In extremely messed up families, you've got second wife, second husband. So the kids are forced to take on these caregiver roles that they shouldn't be forced to take over. And that becomes their identity. And that's how they stay safe, is by giving and giving and giving and giving. If I keep giving, if I keep taking care of, they won't punish me. The second the care stops, or that you start taking care of yourself, you selfish little bitch, blah, 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 blah. How dare you eat that last piece of cake, blah, 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 blah. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's what they do. So we become this selfless, I'm just going to keep giving so I don't get punished kind of thing. And then that sets us up for relationships with abusers out there in the real world. Because remember, our inner child goes, okay, here was this messed up original wound. I hated it. It makes me feel yucky. If I can find somebody who reminds me of this and make them love me, I prove these people wrong. Never works. Never works. Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. Where am I? Okay, good. Got some time. Okay, if I want to feel safe and loved, I need to make sure that I ask as little from people as possible and give as much as I can. Echoists may learn growing up that they can't turn to others when they're scared or lonely or trust that people will soothe them. So they bury their needs. Okay, they will bury their needs in the hope that they'll be accepted and loved for demanding so little. So if mom or dad was absent, if they were, alcoholics, drug addicts, imprisoned, committed suicide, any of this stuff, the kid quickly learns, I can't trust the world. I can't trust that my caregiver is going to be there for me. I can't trust that I'm going to be taken care of. I can't trust that I'm going to be soothed. So that is that. They can't be trust that their caregiver is going to be there to comfort them in a thunderstorm, because if they're absent and they're out and they're doing drugs and alcohol or whatever, they may not be there. And so they learn quickly that they've got to be self-sufficient and they've got to be as little burden as possible. So, okay. 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 And so that they'll be loved and accepted for demanding so little. In that sense, like most traits, it's a blend of nature and nurture. When individuals born with greater emotional sensitivities than most, empathy, those who feel deeply are exposed to parents who shame and punish them for having any needs at all, they're more apt to become echoists. In fact, given the emotionally sensitive nature of many echoists, our group expected that gender norms would play a larger role. Women tend to be socialized to be focused on emotion and nurturing. That turned out not to be the case. We found roughly equal numbers of male and female echoists, and that's what I've seen. I cannot tell you the number of men who are being abused by abusive women that take advantage of that and rip through their savings and, force them to buy them stuff, take them on extremely expensive vacations, buy them jewelry, buy them furs, buy them whatever, and the echoist will just do it because their basic fear is, oh my God, if I don't, I will be abandoned again. No bueno. Trust me, this person you do want to be abandoned by. But in our mind, we don't think that. It's the inner child running the show. And the inner child desperately wants to recreate the family, and they want it to be a different outcome this time. But we don't understand that that's never going to happen. That you can't take somebody who's dysfunctional and abusive and turn them into something who's not dysfunctional and abusive. So hang on. In fact, regardless of the child's innate sensitivities, he or she can develop chronic emotional fragility and be nudged into echoism by parents who seem happy or fulfilled only when their offsprings offspring praise, flatter, or comfort them. Narcissists. Imagine a narcissistic mother who needs her child to tell her that she's especially talented or that she's a supermom. Such children may learn to echo and mirror the parent's every wish, burying their own emotional needs. And then this translates into romantic relationships. This translates into friendships. This translates into work relationships. Finding a voice. No matter what makes someone an echoist, understanding the trait's origins could help overcome its downsides. Bear in mind, echoists bury their needs by seeing themselves as a burden and blaming themselves for being sensitive, needy, or high maintenance. The first step in restoring balance, then, is to break the habit of self-blame. Please break the habit of self-blame and shame. Blame, shame, guilt tripping. That's what abusive parents train their kids with. And that's the shit we got to get rid of because that's what's killing us. OMG. Okay. All right. This starts by recognizing that self-blame is an action, not a feeling. It's something we do to ourselves to make our needs smaller and our voices quieter. If I'm the problem, i.e., too needy, too sensitive, too unforgiving, then I have no reason to be angry or hurt. I have no reason to ask or right to ask for anything. So abusers, narcissists in particular, but malignant borderlines do this as well. When somebody expresses an emotion, they make them wrong for it. You know, don't you get mad at me, I'll give you something to be mad about. Don't you cry, I'll give you something to cry about. And they'll flip it around. You did this to me and da-da-da-da-da, and then make us feel guilty for them hurting us. What the fuck? Okay, that's what they do. So this is what this is all about. This, I mean, I could have kissed this guy when I read this article. I was just like, you get it? Oh my God, this is awesome. All right, okay. That we have no right to be angry or hurt, and we have no right to ask for anything. An echoist can begin to overcome self-blame by replacing the question, what have I done wrong? How many of us have asked that? You know, oh my gosh, my abuser's mad at me. What did I do wrong? Oh my gosh, my abuser is stonewalling me. What did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. Okay, you replace what have I done wrong with, am I feeling disappointed? Or am I afraid to say something is wrong? How many of us in abusive relationships have been walking on eggshells? By Randy Krieger, great book, read it. So walking on eggshells because we're afraid to ask for what we need. How many of us have been terrified to say, hey, this is not good. I'm suffering, because we know, our gut knows that this abuser is going to punish us, abandon us, hurt us, harm us, do something. So if you're walking in eggshells in a relationship, you are in an abusive relationship. Okay, what have I done wrong? Am I afraid to say something is wrong? This shift leaves room to feel and eventually express the needs and feelings that should have been given voice to in the first place. Only then can we discover whether the person we're with it can abide and can even love truly hearing us. Wow. That was a great article. Okay, I do have some questions coming in, but I want to read one more thing. So what I see a lot of is that family and friends get just completely verklempt. They're just like, what the fuck? I don't get it. This person that I know, that I love, that I've known for years, got involved with this abuser and just poof, disappeared and became them. So I posted an article on We Need to Talk on Facebook, and I titled it "Picking Up Fleas from the Abuser. They Want You to Be as Rotten as They Are." And it shows a bowl of fruit with one moldy fruit and then another moldy fruit next to it, and it's starting to infect all the other fruit. If you take a piece of rotten fruit and place it beside perfectly good fruit, what happens? The mold from the rotten fruit spreads to the good fruit, and both end up in bad condition. So what happens when you surround yourself with people who don't build you up? Well, you become just like them. I thought that was brilliant. And then I got a comment from a gentleman in Manchester, and I thought it was brilliant because this describes what happens when an echoist gets involved with a narcissist and completely disappears. And he says, it's actually worse than just fleas. They start to act entirely like them. The same phrases, the same morals, the same outlook. When you've known the victim all your life, you have a very accurate reference to go off of, and it's blatant to see. It's like they actually replace the kind, nice, caring, thoughtful person you knew with their own nasty, selfish, entitled victim characteristics, essentially becoming a replacement or an extension of them. This is because the abuser demands it, repeating and repeating negative things about anyone who sees them for what they are until the victim repeats it too. Never allowing the victim to praise anyone in their support network. If they can isolate them from their family and have access to them 24/7, they can actually brainwash them to believe it through repetition, gaslighting, and punishment if they don't comply. The target of abuse then in turn abuses their own family and friends on behalf of the perpetrator. Abuse by proxy. I've talked about this before. They are essentially now in a 1-over-1 relationship of leader and follower. It is a complete cult. They attack their own support network, causing friction, angst, and upset, which the abuser uses to their advantage by comforting the target of the abuse, thus trauma bonding with them and further isolating them from the very people that honestly care about them. It is insidious. If you told them 2 years earlier it would happen, they'd call you insane. But it does. And then they totally deny it. Now, couple that with massive self-denial and the victim is in danger. Amazing from a psychological perspective, but devastating for the targets of abuse and the target's family and the target's friend to see it happening. And of course, the unaware victim who has no clue that they are being exploited. That was so well said. And that was just fucking brilliant. That's what happens. And that's what happens to echoists. And that's what happens to the family and the friends that love the echoist. Heavy duty stuff, man. Anyway, so that is echoism. That is what's happening. So I'm going to start taking questions now. Okay. Those who grew up with abusive parents, is it possible to stop longing for that original mother's unconditional love? Yes and no. Let's talk about that. Hang on, let me grab some water here first. Hang on. Okay, so here's the deal. We all want to be loved, and we all want our mother to love us. We do. And if that mom is not available, if that mom is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and abusive and whatever, we're never going to get it, but we're always going to want that. So that is why the Inner Child Workbook, which I think left under my bed this morning, is necessary. You've got to work on that inner child. You are going to have to reparent yourself. You must become your own mama. You to mama. Do you remember dinosaurs? Not to mama, you to mama. So the abuser, not to mama, you to mama. So you've got to re-raise yourself. You've got to re-raise yourself. This is what it's all about. This is what inner child work is all about. It's recognizing the longing. We do. We absolutely do. We miss and we want and we desire to have a healthy, normal, loving, kind, unconditional love from a mom or a dad or both. What ends up happening is that in our little minds, we go, oh, I see somebody that reminds me of this. So if I can make them love me, I've proved them wrong, which never works. And we keep thinking that we can change them or change them. And we can't. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So do we ever stop longing for the original, the person to be sane and normal? No, we don't. Did you read my book? What's wrong with your dad? When my dad died, all I ever wanted was a good dad. That's all I ever wanted was a good dad. And he never was it. And it was sad. And it was, and I kept hoping, because, I was younger then too. I kept hoping that as long as there's breath in the body, there's hope. And technically there is. But psychologically, when you got somebody who is as effed up as that, and won't work on themselves, refuses to go get counseling, refuses to work on themselves, refuses to read anything, refuses to change, refuses to admit there might be possibly a problem and the problem could possibly be them, then there is no hope. But when you're a kid, you keep hoping that eventually they'll get healthy. So that is always going to be there, but you have to temper that with, okay, inner child, that's never going to happen. Adult me needs to comfort you and love you and hold you and call you George and kiss you and, and let you know that you're okay and be unconditional with you and let you know that this parent over here is never going to be what you need. So I am going to be what you need. I am going to be your mom now. I'm going to be your dad now. And sometimes we have to be our own dads. We have to be our own mom. We have to be our own dads because those two people were not present in so many ways. So, okay. So yeah, you're always going to have that longing, but you're going to have to temper it with, okay, it's not going to be able to come from them. It's going to have to come from me. I'm going to have to be the mom. I'm going to have to be the dad. I will re-raise you, little inner child who so desperately deserves and loves to be loved. So there we go. Can fear of abandonment develop when your parents never went anywhere? Neither of them had jobs and didn't physically abandon you. Yes. So remember, it's not, we keep thinking that things are somehow disconnected. So body, mind, spirit, it's all one. Okay. So things unsaid are the same as things said. Okay. It's like silence is an answer in and of itself. So if they never went anywhere, never had jobs, never had any ambition, didn't want to try anything, generally what that is that's called avoidant personality disorder. So people who don't even try, that's avoidant personality disorder. They are terrified of failing. So if they don't try, they don't fail. In their minds. In reality, they're failing left, right, and center because they're not even trying. Twitch. So yeah, that creates fear. The message is don't try anything new. Don't do anything new. Don't try. Don't go anywhere. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't. And it creates a lot of fear. Absolutely. So if you have a parent, for example, who is terrified of new things and terrified of traveling and terrified of this, that, and the other thing, you will learn, because we learn by watching and listening, to not want to travel, to not want to do anything, to, not want to go anywhere because we're watching them. And, and if we do think about it, if you've got a parent who's got avoidant personality disorder and doesn't want to do anything and doesn't want to go anywhere and doesn't want to try new things and, is terrified of newness and everything like that, and you start doing new things, they will try to sabotage you to stop you. Not because they're worried about what's going to happen to you, but because it makes them uncomfortable because you're doing something that they couldn't. Man. So yeah, that is basically that. So yeah, that's it's a very real fear. It's a very, it's a fear that's instilled in us. It's learned. It's a learned behavior. And the beautiful news of it is if you've learned it, you can unlearn it. So yeah, get with a good therapist, start working on that. That would be a good thing. Question, I gave everything of myself to my ex-narc, now separated. I still find myself thinking of helping him. Why? How do I break the cycle of giving too much? The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Get it, read it, work it, do it. Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie. Beyond Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie. There's a ton of books out there on codependency. Get them, work them. They're good. It is how do I explain this? It's a habit. Part of it is a habit. So we've been conditioned to give and give and give and give and give and think about the abuser 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 and think about the abuser. It's a freaking drug. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to do thought stopping. So when the thought of the ex pops up, you just go, that's fascinating. You don't resist it. Because remember, if you resist it, it persists. So you don't want to be like, not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. What am I thinking about the whole time? Well, I'm thinking about the ex because you're resisting it. So what you do is you go, yep, motherfucker, I see you. There you are right there. Guess what? I am not helping you. Why? Cause I say so. I give myself permission. Fuck you. You see where I'm going with that? So you give yourself permission to not help them. You give yourself permission to validate, acknowledge, yep, I see it. And I'm not going to act on it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now, bye-bye. Do you see where I'm going with that? It's a new way of thinking. So it's thought stopping. You stop that thought cold. You replace it with something healthy. And then you remind yourself, why am I doing this? Because I say so. I'm the boss, not this chattering voice in my head, not the bullshit that my abuser gave me. I am the boss. So that's why you do that. Okay, how do I break the cycle? I think I answered that. It's common to think of them, guys, because we've been trained. We're like little trained monkeys. We've been trained. It's like first thing in the morning. What do they want? How can I help them? What can I do? Da, 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 da. You see where I'm going with that? So it's a matter of stopping that thought cold, acknowledging it. Yep, there it is. Yep, I see. Boy, howdy, there's a part of me that would really love to help you. And I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I give myself permission. Fuck off. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Right when you get work. So see where I'm going with that? All right. What is the difference between trusting in the universe and magical thinking? Okay, here's the deal. Magical thinking is pulling the blanket up and going, if I can't see the monster can't see me. It's denial. It's denial. So magical thinking is people that go, oh, I trust in the universe. And if I just live wealthfully, wealth will come to me. What the fuck? No, your ass is going to be broke. So that's the difference. So, faith, okay, let's talk about faith. Faith gives people hope, and I'm all for that. What I'm not for, though, is the magical thinking where they go, if I just think that I'm going to be wealthy, then I will be wealthy. No, bitch, y'all got to do something. If words are lovely, actions go further. So that's what magical thinking is. Magical thinking is a lot of words, no actions. So trusting in the universe, it's like, okay, stuff happens. All right, there it is. Can I do anything about it? Nope. Okay, guess it's meant to be. That's trusting in the universe. Whereas magical thinking is, I'm going to have these thoughts that are just way out there. And if I just think it, it's going to happen. Okay, no. And then let's clarify this. How we think it is how it turns out. If you tell yourself something often enough, your brain will start going, okay, this is the way it's going to be. Okay, this is the way it's going to be, but let's carry this to its natural conclusion. If I just think it, it's going to happen. If I just think it, it's going to happen. And you get into that habit of going, oh, I'm just going to think it and it will happen. No, you got to think it and then you got to put a plan into place. And then you got to do something. And then you got to execute that plan. And then you got to do other plans. You see where I'm going with that? So that's the difference. I hope that clarified it. If it didn't, let me know. Okay. I've always looked for bad company and leaders to prove myself. Is it common for victims and codependents to want to prove themselves to abusive people and to seek out toxic and abusive people? Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Because it goes back to that whole, if I can make them love me, I have proved mom and dad or grandpa or first grade teacher or whoever wrong. So yeah, we have a tendency to look for difficult situations because we want to fix it. We want to fix it. We are fixers. That's the that's the definition of codependent. So, we want to fix it. We want things to be better. We want people to be better. We want corporations to be better. We want the world to be better. So we think that if we get involved with incredibly fucked up company or a bad boss or whatever, that we can somehow show them the error of their ways, show them how amazing we are, and then we'll finally be validated for the stuff that our original caregivers never gave us. And it never works that way, guys. It never works that way. Don't do it. It isn't prudent. So yeah, it's very common. It's very common. And you've got to really, once you've recognized it, that's when you've got to be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. That would not be good. Let's not do that again. That wasn't fun. And choose something different. Okay. I hope that answered that question. My niece was killed in an accident this week. Oh God, I'm so sorry. My two cousins who both have BPD and hate each other are using this to generate conflict. How can we stop this? You give it no energy. You give it no energy, none. If they start talking shit, you just stop the conversation cold. I'm sorry, the doorbell's ringing, gotta go, and you just, or if they start triangulating. So, well, and it depends on how they're doing it too. But if they're calling people up and wanting to talk about somebody behind their back, so like triangulation of communication, that is when you stop it cold. It's like, oh, really? Well, let's get them on the phone. Let's just end this now. Let's get them on the phone. And I can guarantee you that'll stop it, because they're cowards, basically. So, yeah, you get together with other healthy members of the family and you let them know. It's like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're going to shut this shit down. We're not going to give them the energy. You gray rock them. So it's like they start shit, and instead of responding, which is what we want to do, like, instead of doing that, we just go, and let's get the other person on the phone so we can stop this. See where I'm going? It's like you don't give them the emotional charge that they are looking for. And they are looking for an emotional charge. Abso-freaking-lutely. I hope that answered the question. My mother passed away while I was 8 months pregnant. Oh, I'm sorry. My husband seemed to be put off by my grief, even rolling his eyes, leaving me by myself to cope. Is this a narcissistic trait? Well, honey, without him in front of me, I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you right now, that's not fucking normal. Okay? Because you don't do that. Normal people understand there is, first of all, you're 8 months pregnant. So, oh my God. And number two, you just lost your mom. Holy shit. That person, fly, go away, fly, go away. That person needs comforting. That person needs love. That person needs whatever. I don't know if it's a narcissistic trait. I don't know what's going on with them, but I can tell you right now, it's not normal. It's not normal. Is it in the spectrum of narcissism if my mother ignored me on my birthday, no text, card, or call? Well, it depends on the context. Has she done that before? Has she ruined people's birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or is this something completely new and different? Again, without knowing what's going on, it's very hard for me to tell. So, Alzheimer's, the brain starts going, memory starts going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hard for me to tell. But what I can tell you is that narcissists love to ruin birthdays. They love to ruin holidays. They love to ruin anniversaries. They love to ruin anything that does not directly have something to do with them. So they will go out of their way to ruin it. And usually what a narcissist does is something to ruin it, not just not calling or whatever. They do something to ruin it. But if this has been a common thing, then yeah, you might want to look into that. But I don't know, because it could be Alzheimer's, could be lots of stuff could be going on. All right. My BBD ex would constantly say, I cannot lie, but when I broke it off, he smeared me with the most outrageous lies. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but yeah. Why would he feel the need to constantly say he doesn't lie? It's an ego defense, sweetie. It's an ego defense. So somebody who is constantly saying that they don't do something or that they are something, or constantly saying that, like, I'm smart, I'm really smart. I can guarantee you that person is not smart. Okay. Or somebody who's like, I don't lie, I'm truthful, I'm this, I'm that, or everybody lies. Okay. That is generalizations. That is what narcissists do. That is what malignant borderlines do. So it's an ego defense. It's an ego defense. And they think that, again, like brainwashing, they think that if they say something over and over and over and over and over and over again, everybody's going to believe it. And they're trying to make themselves believe it. And as part of them probably does believe that they don't lie, but they do. So that's just, if a narcissist's lips are moving, they are lying. That's why it's an ego defense. Okay, question. I am worried for a family member. Can an NPD get worse or develop other mental health issues? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes. They do not get better with age, guys. They do not get better with age. I cannot emphasize this enough. Hang on just a second. They do not get better with age. In fact, they get worse with age. And what they do is they become more controlling, more dishonest, more abusive. It's like they've gotten away with stuff and they realize that they can keep getting away with it, and they're just going to get worse. Can they develop other mental health issues? Yeah, absolutely. You can have more than one disorder. You can have more than one issue going on. It's called comorbidity. So Good Lord. Somebody said that Dr. Malkin is in the chat. Ah! I love you. Anyways, because this article was fantastic. So anyway, yeah, they can have comorbidity. They can have, they can have multiple personality disorders going on at once. They can, antisocial personality disorder combined with narcissism. And then of course the control freaky, that's your dark triad. So they can have depression, they can have anxiety, they can have bipolar, they can have schizophrenia, they can have, yes, you can have any combination of mental health issues and a personality disorder. It's called comorbidity. So yeah, they can. So if you're concerned about the family member, and they're an adult, you might want to consider calling Adult Protective Services, get some help going that way, get a hold of a social worker in their area, just see what you can do kind of thing. So there is that. Okay, can you give us a technique on how to access your inner child safely and correctly to work on ourselves? I say get with a therapist, guys. I cannot, people are always like, well, I can't afford it. Okay, well, so here's the deal. You can't not afford it. You got to work on yourselves. And if you really, truly cannot afford it, Catholic Charities does free counseling. Let me say that again. Catholic Charities does free counseling for targets of domestic violence. They say victims of domestic violence. I like to use the word targets because we were targeted. We were targeted. So you get with a therapist. You need somebody that can help you work through it because it is going to trigger the living fuck out of you, guarantee it. So I've had some people that, they start working on the inner child and they'll call me up and be like, I need to put the book down. I'm like, yes, put it down. Yes, please put it down until our next session. And then we'll go through it and figure out what's going on and how you got triggered and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It helps to have a damn good therapist that understands this stuff. Okay. If you don't have a therapist, if you can't get a therapist, then the next best thing would be grab the workbook. Get the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Get CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Oh my God. Someone messaged you that you referenced my work on Echoism. Thank you for the kind mention. No, Dr. Miller, thank you. Your article was so phenomenally right on. I can't even begin to tell you. Dr. Malkin is amazing. So thank you. So, okay, sorry, I got squirrel. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're in a safe place when you're working on your inner child. When you are in the abusive relationship is not the time to do that, okay? Because that's not a safe place. You need to be out of the relationship and you need to be hopefully with a therapist, and Catholic Charities does free counseling for domestic violence victims, which I hate the term victims, but you know what I'm saying. So get the books. Get the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Get CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Start working those. Take it slow. Take it extremely slow because it is going to trigger you, especially if we have had family of origin that was really dysfunctional and trained us to be codependent, trained us to be echoists, trained us to constantly be giving and constantly not taking care of ourselves and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really important that you are in a safe space, meaning you're not with the abuser. You can do the work if you are with the abuser. It's harder. So I'm all about let's keep it simple, let's keep it easy. So, when you get out, you want to start working on self-esteem, because they have ripped our self-esteem from us. They have lied to us. They have gaslighted us. They have told us all sorts of BS. Okay. So, self-esteem, boundaries. We got to work on boundaries. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. We've got to work on the inner child. We've got to comfort that little one inside of us so that we don't keep trying to find somebody that reminds us of the original wound and keep repeating the pattern. Rinse, slather, repeat. No, stop it. So yeah, there's that. Okay, can narcissists have an element of echoism? My mother was definitely abusive, but she also had this I'm not important victim vibe to her. What's up with that? It's called covert. It's an act. It's a total act. So they play the martyr. Now, this is different than echoisms. Let's talk about the difference about this. With a covert narcissist, it is intentional, it is planned, and it has a fucking agenda, okay? They're doing it to instill guilt. They're doing it to instill you owe me, or you should feel bad because I'm the victim. Look at what I do. I do all this work for you. You never write. You never call. That kind of bullshit. Okay. That's covert. With an echoist, they don't say it out loud. They don't do the whole, we don't say, oh my gosh, I'm a burden. We feel we are a burden. We make sure that we are not a burden, whereas a covert narcissist makes sure everybody knows what a burden everybody is because they do so much for us. Oh, please. Do you see where I'm going with that? So that is the difference, is that with a covert narcissist, they play the victim, and it's intended. It's got an agenda. They know exactly what they're doing. It's to instill guilt. It's to instill you owe me, that kind of thing. With a echoist, it's a, oh my God, I'm a burden. I don't want anybody to notice me. Whereas the covert narcissist is loudly proclaiming, I do so much for everyone and nobody does anything for me. And it's an act. It's an act. All right, kids, I'm going to call it good for today. So thank you for tuning in. I am so thrilled that Dr. Malcolm came on. I'm like, oh my God, I love that article. It was amazing, 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 amazing. You're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this work. I just can't even begin to tell you how much. She's going to be able to go to St. Louis, or not St. Louis, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Get all my saints mixed up. She's definitely going on the cruise in December. I am so looking forward to that. And that is that. And we have 8 more spaces available for the cruise. If you are interested, there's 4 cabins. It's double occupancy. You can get your own cabin. It's slightly more expensive. So we're going to be locking those down. I think it's August 1st. So if you want to go on the cruise with me and Susanna Quintana, author of You're Still That Girl, get in, get your stuff in. Go to Eventbrite, get your stuff in. Talk to Chris at Mercury, chris@mercury.com, MURCURI.com. And that is that. All right, kids, have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.